how your soul selects your next parents and soulmate after leaving this life. Imagine waking up one day to realize everything you thought was true about life, death, and your very existence was just the surface of a much deeper mystery. What if I told you that death is not the end, but a new beginning, a door opening to a journey your soul consciously plans before you even take your first breath? What if the people you call family and the challenges you face were not accidents, but carefully chosen lessons to help your soul grow? This video is packed with mind-opening insights and profound wisdom rooted in ancient Buddhist teachings and modern understanding of the soul's journey. It's designed to shift the way you see your life, your relationships, and even your fears about death. If you want to truly grasp how your soul navigates between lives, how you choose your life circumstances, and why every hardship holds a secret purpose, then stay with us till the very end. The knowledge you'll gain here can transform your outlook, heal deep wounds, and help you live with greater peace and purpose. Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful content like this. Let's dive deep together into the soul's remarkable journey, the story that no one tells you, but everyone needs to hear. Life and death are not the end, but a transition in the soul's journey. In Buddhist thought, the concept of life and death is profoundly different from what many commonly believe. Life is not a single isolated event capped by a definitive end called death. Instead, life and death are seen as parts of an ongoing flow, a continuous cycle of becoming, changing, and evolving. This cycle is what we call samsara, the endless wheel of birth, death, and rebirth. From this perspective, death is not a final curtain call, but a doorway, a threshold where one phase gently folds into another. Imagine a traveler moving from one room to the next in a vast house. The room behind closes softly but does not vanish. The journey simply continues, and the traveler's path unfolds in new ways. Similarly, the soul, or more accurately in Buddhist terms, the stream of consciousness, transitions from this life to the next. There is no permanent, unchanging self that leaves or arrives, but rather a dynamic flow of cause and effect, of energies and intentions that carries on. This truth can be both comforting and liberating, especially for those who have faced the pain of losing loved ones or fear their own mortality. Knowing that death is not an annihilation, but a transformation allows us to soften our grasp on the fear and grief that often arise. Instead of clinging to life as something to be desperately held onto, we can come to see death as a natural part of existence, a necessary turning point that opens new possibilities for growth and healing. Buddhism teaches us that our attachments to people, possessions, even our own identity, are the roots of suffering. The fear of death often stems from a deep attachment to the self we think we are, to the physical body, and to the familiar world around us. But when we deeply contemplate impermanence, anicca, we begin to realize that everything is in constant flux. The body ages and fades, relationships evolve and sometimes end, feelings come and go. Clinging tightly to what is fleeting only traps us in cycles of pain. The soul's journey through death and rebirth is intimately tied to karma, the natural law of cause and effect. Karma is not a system of reward and punishment, but a mirror reflecting the intentions behind our actions. The conditions into which the consciousness flows after death arise from the seeds planted in past lives. This is why the next chapter in the soul's journey is not random chaos, but a continuation shaped by past causes and motivations. Understanding this encourages us to live more mindfully and compassionately now, in this present life. Every moment becomes precious, every act an opportunity to plant seeds of kindness, patience, and wisdom that will bear fruit beyond this lifetime. When we act with awareness, we shape the conditions of future rebirths in ways that support liberation from suffering. It is also crucial to note that this process is not one of eternal entrapment. The cycle of samsara continues only as long as ignorance and craving persist. The Buddha showed that there is a way to transcend this cycle, through awakening, nirvana, the realization of the true nature of reality beyond birth and death. This awakening is not a far-off myth, but a living possibility available to all beings. When the mind fully understands impermanence, non-self, anatta, and emptiness, sunyata, it dissolves fear and clinging. Death loses its sting because the awakened soul sees it as simply another moment in the vast unfolding of existence. Consider the metaphor of a river flowing endlessly toward the ocean. Each wave rises and falls, new droplets join, and others evaporate, but the river itself never stops moving. In the same way, the essence of our being moves through countless forms and experiences, shaped by causes and conditions, but never truly ceasing. Death is like the merging of a river into the ocean, a transformation of form, but not an end. This understanding calls us to cultivate compassion, both for ourselves and for others. Everyone we meet is on this same profound journey, wrestling with birth, aging, sickness, and death. Recognizing the shared nature of suffering fosters empathy and the desire to help ease the burdens of others. In practical terms, embracing life and death as transitions encourages a gentler way of living. We can learn to face loss with grace, knowing it is part of a larger spiritual process. We can approach our own dying not with terror, but with openness, acceptance, and a deep trust in the unfolding of life's mystery. In doing so, we transform death from a feared enemy into a sacred teacher. So, when we truly grasp that life and death are not ends, but transitions in the soul's journey, we open the door to a deeper peace. This peace does not deny the pain or the reality of loss, but meets it with wisdom and compassion, knowing that beyond every ending, a new beginning awaits. After leaving the physical body, the soul enters a transitional stage where physical space and time no longer exist. When the physical body ceases to function, the journey of the soul, or more precisely, the stream of consciousness, does not simply stop. Instead, it enters a unique and profound transitional state, a realm where the familiar rules of space and time as we know them dissolve. This state is neither bound by the physical dimensions of the earthly world, nor limited by linear time. It exists beyond our usual senses and intellect. In Buddhist teachings, this transitional stage is often described as the bardo, an intermediate state between death and rebirth. The bardo is not a fixed place, but a fluid, dynamic experience shaped by the mind's own tendencies, past karma, and spiritual maturity. Because physical space and linear time no longer apply, the consciousness navigates a landscape that is more like a dream or a projection of one's own inner world than a tangible reality. This absence of time and space can be disorienting for many souls. Imagine waking from a vivid dream where you were fully immersed in a life and suddenly finding yourself in a boundless void that feels both infinite and empty. The usual markers that give us a sense of identity, our body, our roles, our memories anchored in time, fade, leaving the consciousness exposed to its raw state. What does this mean for the soul's experience? Without the constraints of time, all moments, the past, present, and future, can exist simultaneously. The soul may relive scenes from its recent life or even glimpses from previous lifetimes, all unfolding in a timeless panorama. This offers an extraordinary opportunity for deep reflection and understanding. But it also requires the soul to confront its unresolved attachments and fears without the distractions of the physical world. In this realm, physical anxieties, worries, and attachments lose their grip gradually, but not always immediately. Those who have cultivated mindfulness, compassion, and insight during their lifetime often move through the bardo with greater clarity and peace. Others, weighed down by unprocessed emotions, guilt, or confusion, may experience this transition as chaotic or frightening. The Buddhist path thus encourages preparation for this moment through meditation, ethical living, and developing wisdom so that the mind can remain steady and clear in the face of death's uncertainty. The timelessness of the bardo also reveals a powerful truth. The mind shapes reality. Without the physical senses to anchor it, consciousness projects its own experiences, sometimes peaceful, sometimes turbulent. This is why spiritual guides or enlightened beings are said to assist the soul during this passage, helping it recognize the illusions and attachments that bind it and guiding it toward liberation or a harmonious rebirth. From the standpoint of everyday life, this teaching invites us to understand that the experiences we carry within, our habits, emotions, and intentions, are not confined to this physical existence. They ripple beyond, influencing the soul's journey after death. Therefore, cultivating wholesome qualities like loving kindness, metta, compassion, karuna, and equanimity, upekkha, is not just for this life, but serves as vital preparation for the inevitable transition. Because physical space and time dissolve in this stage, the soul's experience is more akin to pure awareness or luminous consciousness. Buddhist masters describe this as an opportunity to recognize the true nature of mind, clear, spacious, and unbound. If the soul can rest in this recognition, it is said to achieve a kind of awakening even after death, a liberation from the endless cycles of birth and death. This insight shifts our understanding of death from a moment of loss to a profound threshold of possibility. It invites us to cultivate a life rich in spiritual practice so that when the body fades, the mind can navigate the transition with grace and clarity. It also encourages compassion for those who struggle in this liminal space, reminding us that death is not a solitary event, but part of a shared journey that calls for support, understanding, and loving care. In essence, the transitional stage after leaving the body is a sacred and mysterious realm where the soul confronts the fruits of its life's journey. The dissolution of space and time strips away illusions and exposes the core reality of consciousness. How the soul meets this stage depends on the depth of its spiritual cultivation and the readiness to embrace impermanence with openness and compassion. The soul undergoes a life review to reflect on the past, understand lessons learned, and prepare for the next incarnation. In the subtle space beyond physical death, the soul enters a profound phase often described as the life review. This is not a judgment or punishment, but a compassionate and honest reflection. A moment when the soul carefully examines the tapestry of its recent lifetime to understand the choices made, the lessons learned, and the areas needing growth. From a Buddhist standpoint, this process aligns deeply with the principle of karma, the law of cause and effect, where every intention, action, and word creates ripples that extend far beyond the moment they occur. The life review allows the soul to witness these ripples fully, not just intellectually, but with feeling and clarity. It's like watching a movie of one's life, but with the unique ability to see not only what happened, but also how those actions affected others and oneself at the deepest level. This reflection isn't about blame or self-condemnation. The Buddha taught that the path to liberation is paved with wisdom and compassion, especially toward oneself. During this review, the soul gently uncovers the motivations behind its deeds, understanding where fear, attachment, or ignorance may have influenced choices. It also sees moments of kindness, courage, and generosity as seeds of future awakening. This dual recognition helps the soul develop insight into the patterns it has created, allowing it to embrace responsibility without falling into despair. The life review is essential preparation for the next incarnation. It is here that the soul gains clarity on which spiritual qualities to strengthen and which karmic imbalances to address in its forthcoming life. This process is a roadmap of growth, highlighting unresolved challenges and unfinished business while illuminating the path forward. Importantly, this reflection occurs in a realm where time is fluid. The soul may revisit memories not as linear events, but as interconnected lessons, seeing how past decisions wove together the fabric of its existence. This panoramic understanding deepens self-awareness and offers a compassionate space for healing wounds that were carried unconsciously during life. In Buddhism, the practice of mindfulness and ethical living throughout one's lifetime serves as preparation for this life review. When the mind is trained to observe itself without attachment or aversion, the soul transitions with less confusion and fear. The clarity gained during life can smooth the path through this introspective phase, making it an opportunity for awakening rather than suffering. Consider how the Buddha encouraged living with right mindfulness and right intention, two elements of the Noble Eightfold Path. These teachings guide us to cultivate awareness and purity of heart, which ultimately transform the experience of the life review into a liberating mirror rather than a daunting reckoning. This process also underscores the interconnectedness of all beings. The soul sees not only its individual journey, but also how it touched the lives of others, sometimes healing, sometimes wounding. Such insight fosters profound compassion, as the soul recognizes the shared nature of suffering and joy. This awareness encourages the soul to carry forward intentions rooted in kindness and empathy in future lives. Moreover, the life review is not a solitary experience. According to Buddhist cosmology, enlightened beings and compassionate guides often assist the soul during this reflection, offering wisdom and support. These spiritual companions help the soul navigate the sometimes overwhelming emotions and revelations that arise, ensuring the process is one of gentle growth rather than punishment. For us living now, understanding the life review encourages a life lived with conscious awareness of our actions and their ripple effects. It reminds us that our daily choices matter deeply, not just for this life, but for the soul's ongoing journey toward awakening. It invites us to cultivate forgiveness, both for ourselves and others, so that when the time comes for our own life review, the soul may meet its past with gentleness and clarity. In essence, the life review is a sacred moment of self-honesty and grace. It is the soul's opportunity to embrace its full story, the light and the shadow, preparing to move forward with renewed wisdom and compassion. Through this process, the soul actively co-creates its future, guided by lessons from the past and the deep aspiration to grow beyond suffering. Choosing parents, living environment, and even the birth timing are deliberate soul decisions aimed at growth and balancing unfinished lessons. In Buddhist teachings, the process of reincarnation is not random or accidental. It is an intentional and deeply meaningful journey where the soul carefully chooses the conditions of its next life. This includes selecting the parents it will be born to, the environment it will live in, and even the precise moment of birth. These choices are not made lightly. They are part of a profound plan aimed at spiritual growth and the balancing of karmic debts accumulated over countless lifetimes. The idea that souls pick their parents may sound foreign or even controversial in some cultures, but within the Buddhist worldview, this is a natural extension of karma and the cycle of samsara. The parents and family into which one is born provide the exact circumstances necessary to confront and heal unresolved issues, develop strengths, and practice compassion and wisdom. This is not about assigning blame or justifying suffering, but about recognizing that every life situation is a unique opportunity crafted by the soul to learn and evolve. For example, a soul that needs to cultivate patience and forgiveness may choose parents whose personalities or circumstances will challenge these qualities. Conversely, a soul seeking to deepen love and kindness might be born into a nurturing family where those lessons can flourish. Even when the family situation appears difficult, marked by hardship, neglect, or conflict, the soul views these conditions as the fertile soil for resilience, self-awareness, and ultimately liberation. Buddhism teaches that these conditions, parents, culture, era, social status, are not good or bad in an absolute sense, but are vehicles for karma to manifest and be worked through. The soul's choice is an act of courage and wisdom, confronting what it most needs to resolve or strengthen. This perspective transforms the way we see life's challenges, inviting us to embrace them not as meaningless suffering, but as tailored spiritual lessons. The timing of birth also holds significance. The moment we enter the world is influenced by astrological and karmic factors that shape our character and life path. This timing can create situations that align with the soul's intentions, whether it's being born during times of peace or upheaval, abundance or scarcity. Each era offers different opportunities for growth. For instance, some souls may choose to incarnate during periods of social change to be agents of compassion and transformation, while others may select quieter times for healing and reflection. This understanding also reveals the interconnectedness of all life. Families, communities, and cultures are not random gatherings, but networks of souls connected by shared karmic threads and spiritual agreements. Before birth, souls often make pacts or arrangements with others to play specific roles: parent, sibling, friend, or teacher, creating relationships designed to support mutual growth. These sacred contracts help explain why some bonds feel deeply familiar or why certain relationships are particularly challenging. They are part of a spiritual curriculum. Recognizing this can bring profound healing and gratitude. Instead of harboring resentment or feeling victimized by one's family or circumstances, one can begin to see these conditions as intentional gifts from the soul's deeper wisdom. This shift in perspective nurtures compassion, not only for others but also for oneself, as we acknowledge the courage involved in choosing life's sometimes difficult lessons. Buddhist practice encourages us to reflect on this with mindfulness and loving kindness. By understanding that each challenge and relationship is a chance to awaken compassion and wisdom, we transform suffering into a path toward enlightenment. We learn to honor our story, embracing the sacredness of our origins and the journey our soul has courageously undertaken. In daily life, this teaching urges patience and kindness within families and communities, recognizing that everyone is engaged in their own unique path of growth. It encourages us to support one another with empathy, remembering that beneath every interaction lies a soul working through its karmic lessons. In sum, the soul's deliberate choices about parents, environment, and birth timing illustrate the profound intelligence of the karmic process. These choices create the conditions for spiritual evolution, balancing unfinished lessons and opening doors for healing, love, and liberation. Understanding this invites us to live with greater acceptance, gratitude, and commitment to growth, knowing that every circumstance is a sacred part of our soul's unfolding journey. Important relationships such as soulmates and companions are spiritual agreements made before incarnation. In the vast and intricate web of existence, the relationships we form are far more than mere chance encounters. From a Buddhist perspective, deeply infused with compassion and wisdom, important relationships, such as soulmates and spiritual companions, are viewed as sacred agreements made before incarnation. These connections are not accidental, but intentional, serving the soul's evolutionary path in profound and often challenging ways. Before entering the physical world, souls meet in the spiritual realm to set agreements about the roles they will play in each other's lives. These are not contracts bound by obligation or control, but conscious, loving commitments designed to support mutual growth, healing, and awakening. The bonds forged in this pre-life planning stage transcend time, culture, and circumstance, carrying forward lessons and love from past lifetimes. Soulmates, in this context, are more than romantic ideals. They are souls deeply intertwined, who come together to mirror each other's strengths and vulnerabilities, to challenge and inspire transformation. This connection often feels unmistakably familiar, as if the recognition is embedded in the very fabric of one's being. But these relationships are not always easy or harmonious. They can bring intense growth through conflict, healing through forgiveness, and awakening through love that transcends the ordinary. Spiritual companions, on the other hand, may not carry the intense charge of a soulmate, but their presence is no less vital. These companions may appear as friends, family members, mentors, or even passing strangers who provide essential support, guidance, or lessons at critical moments in one's life. Their shared purpose is to walk alongside, offering stability, encouragement, and reflection as the soul journeys toward greater awareness. Understanding relationships as spiritual agreements changes how we engage with others. It invites us to move beyond surface judgments and to see the deeper, often hidden intentions behind connections. We begin to appreciate even the difficult relationships as opportunities to practice patience, compassion, and equanimity. Instead of reacting with resentment or avoidance, we can choose to engage with kindness and openness, recognizing that every interaction is a chance to awaken the heart. This view also helps us to let go of the common expectation that soulmates or companions must always fulfill idealized roles. Not every soulmate stays forever. Some come to teach us specific lessons and then part ways. Similarly, spiritual companions may accompany us for brief periods or long stretches, always supporting our growth in unique ways. The impermanence of these relationships is itself a profound teacher, reminding us that attachment leads to suffering, and true love arises from freedom and understanding. Buddhism emphasizes that our suffering often comes from clinging to people, roles, or expectations that cannot remain fixed. Recognizing relationships as dynamic, evolving agreements empowers us to embrace change and loss without despair. We learn to cherish the presence of others without losing ourselves, cultivating love that is both deep and liberating. Moreover, these spiritual agreements highlight the interconnectedness of all beings. We are never truly alone on our path. The network of soulmates and companions reflects the Buddha's teaching of Pracyasamutpada, dependent origination, the understanding that all phenomena arise in relation to others. Every relationship is a mirror, reflecting aspects of ourselves that need healing or celebration. This awareness can transform even painful encounters into sacred opportunities. When we meet someone who triggers anger, fear, or sadness, it can be a sign that our souls agreed to face difficult lessons together. Such challenges call forth the highest expressions of compassion, both toward ourselves and the other person, allowing us to break cycles of suffering and open to deeper freedom. In practical terms, embracing this understanding encourages us to approach relationships with humility and grace. It invites daily practices of forgiveness, active listening, and loving kindness, recognizing that we are co-creators in the dance of connection. By cultivating this mindful presence, we not only honor the spiritual agreements made before birth, but also contribute to the healing and awakening of all involved. Ultimately, the knowledge that important relationships are spiritual agreements made before incarnation offers profound solace and inspiration. It assures us that no encounter is meaningless, no connection accidental. Each bond carries the potential to illuminate the path toward wisdom, compassion, and liberation, reminding us that love, in its highest form, is a sacred journey shared across lifetimes. Free will remains intact. The soul has a general roadmap, but the individual holds the compass to choose the path. In Buddhism, the delicate balance between destiny and free will is both profound and liberating. While the soul may come into each life with a general roadmap, a karmic blueprint shaped by past actions and intentions, the individual remains the sovereign navigator, holding the compass to choose their own path. This karmic roadmap is not a rigid script written in stone, but more like a sketch or outline. It highlights potential challenges, lessons to be learned, and opportunities for growth. It reflects the accumulated causes and conditions carried from previous lifetimes, gently nudging the soul towards certain experiences that facilitate spiritual evolution. However, this outline does not dictate every twist and turn. The true power lies in the conscious choices made moment to moment. Free will, in this context, is not an illusion, but a fundamental truth. The individual's intentions, decisions, and actions have real consequences and the ability to shape future experiences. This understanding invites a profound responsibility. Each thought and deed becomes a brushstroke painting the canvas of one's life and beyond. The Buddha's teachings emphasize right intention and right action as vital components of the path, reminding us that though conditions may influence us, we are never powerless. Moreover, the compass, the capacity for discernment and choice, allows for transformation. Even when caught in difficult circumstances seemingly prescribed by past karma, the mind can respond with awareness, compassion, and wisdom. This response can alter the course, soften suffering, and open new possibilities. It is through this interplay of karmic influence and free will that the soul truly evolves. This dynamic also dissolves fatalism and victimhood. Understanding that a karmic roadmap exists does not mean resigning to a predetermined fate. Instead, it highlights the preciousness of now, the present moment where the power to change, heal, and awaken resides. Each choice realigns the soul's journey, steering it closer to liberation. In this light, life becomes a sacred co-creation. The soul's prior intentions set the stage, but the individual's free will writes the ongoing story. This empowers us to live with courage and mindfulness, embracing the reality that while we cannot control all external circumstances, we can control our responses, attitudes, and the energy we bring into each moment. Recognizing the balance between karmic influences and free will also fosters compassion for ourselves and others. We see that everyone is navigating their unique roadmap, making choices under complex conditions. This understanding softens judgment and encourages support rather than blame. Ultimately, the sacred dance between destiny and free will is a core truth of the Buddhist path. It invites us to honor the wisdom of karma while embracing the transformative power of conscious choice. Holding the compass firmly, we steer our soul's journey with intention, awakening, and love. Life's challenges and suffering are not punishments, but opportunities for the soul to expand its light, learn, and mature. Life's challenges and suffering are often misunderstood as punishments handed down by some distant cosmic judge. But from a Buddhist perspective, grounded in compassion and wisdom, they are actually sacred opportunities, gateways through which the soul expands its light, learns deeply, and matures on its spiritual path. At the heart of Buddhism lies the recognition that suffering, dukkha, is universal, yet it is not meaningless. Suffering arises from attachment, craving, and ignorance, but it also serves as the catalyst for awakening. Without difficulty, the soul's journey would be a flat, unchanging landscape. Challenges, pain, and hardship act like the crucible in which the pure essence of our being is revealed and refined. When the soul encounters suffering, it is invited to turn inward with courage and compassion. Instead of resisting or running away, it learns to face pain with mindfulness and understanding. This process develops resilience, empathy, and profound insight into the nature of reality, impermanence, non-self, and interconnectedness. Each challenge becomes a lesson in letting go, a step toward freedom from the chains of ignorance. Consider the metaphor of a seed buried in dark soil. The seed's growth is invisible and uncomfortable at first. It must push through resistance and darkness before breaking into the light. Similarly, the soul's difficult experiences are necessary growth phases that prepare it for blossoming into greater wisdom and love. Buddhism teaches that karma is not punishment, but natural consequence. When suffering arises, it reflects imbalances or unresolved intentions from past actions, offering a clear mirror for self-reflection and transformation. Rather than fueling despair, this awareness empowers the soul to take responsibility and consciously cultivate wholesome qualities that lead to healing and awakening. Moreover, suffering fosters compassion. Experiencing pain personally opens the heart to the suffering of others, dissolving the barriers of selfishness and isolation. This empathetic connection is a vital aspect of the soul's expansion, helping it embody karuna, compassion in action. In many Buddhist stories, great teachers and enlightened beings often emerge from lives marked by hardship, illustrating that suffering can accelerate spiritual growth rather than hinder it. Their lives teach us that the darkest nights of the soul can precede the brightest dawns of realization. From this perspective, the soul's mission is not to avoid pain, but to use it as a transformative tool. Each difficulty carries hidden potential, an invitation to deepen awareness and awaken the heart's luminous qualities. When we embrace suffering with mindful acceptance, it ceases to be a curse and becomes a sacred teacher guiding us toward liberation. This understanding also softens the harsh judgments we might hold toward ourselves or others facing hardship. It invites patience, kindness, and support, recognizing that everyone walks a unique path of growth that includes its own struggles. Ultimately, life's challenges are not punishments, but vital parts of the soul's unfolding story, necessary experiences through which light expands, wisdom deepens, and maturity blossoms. Embracing this truth transforms our relationship with suffering, allowing us to face life's storms with courage, compassion, and hope. Spiritual guides continuously accompany and assist the soul in its evolutionary journey. Spiritual guides play a vital and ongoing role in the soul's journey of growth and awakening. In Buddhist understanding, these guides are not distant, mythical figures, but ever-present companions, beings of great compassion and wisdom, who gently assist the soul as it navigates the complex terrain of existence, both in this life and beyond. These guides can take many forms. Sometimes they manifest as enlightened masters, bodhisattvas who have chosen to remain engaged with the world to help others awaken. Other times, they appear as subtle energies or internal intuitions, quiet whispers of insight and encouragement that arise in moments of doubt or difficulty. They are also often present during the critical transitional stages of death and rebirth, offering support and clarity when the soul is most vulnerable and confused. The role of these spiritual mentors is multifaceted. They help the soul see beyond illusions, attachment, fear, ignorance that cloud perception and cause suffering. Through their loving presence, they inspire courage to face karmic challenges and the clarity to discern the next steps on the path. This assistance is never coercive. It respects the soul's free will, offering guidance without forcing outcomes. In practical terms, spiritual guides can also be encountered in the form of living teachers, compassionate friends, or even seemingly random strangers whose words or actions resonate deeply. These earthly manifestations reflect the interconnectedness taught by Buddhism, that help often comes through the kindness of others, reminding us that we are never truly alone. The presence of these guides nurtures a sense of profound trust and faith, not blind belief, but a confident awareness that the universe is supporting the soul's evolution. This trust alleviates fear, especially around death, and encourages perseverance in the face of life's challenges. Knowing that help is available fosters resilience and inspires the soul to keep moving forward, even when the path feels dark or uncertain. Moreover, spiritual guides serve as mirrors, reflecting back to the soul its potential and inner light. Their compassionate guidance helps the soul awaken to its true nature, beyond ego and suffering, toward wisdom, love, and liberation. This relationship is a sacred exchange, rooted in unconditional support and the shared aspiration for awakening. From a Buddhist viewpoint, cultivating openness to such guidance is essential. Practices like meditation, mindfulness, and ethical living attune the mind to recognize these subtle influences. As the mind becomes clearer and more receptive, the presence and teachings of spiritual guides become increasingly accessible, providing strength and insight when most needed. Ultimately, the continuous companionship of spiritual guides embodies the heart of Buddhist compassion. They remind us that the journey of the soul is never solitary. In every moment of uncertainty or struggle, these guides walk alongside us, illuminating the path, whispering encouragement, and helping us realize the boundless potential for growth and awakening inherent within every being. Changing perspectives to see that everything has a deep purpose helps us live more consciously, reduce fear, and release suffering. Shifting our perspective to recognize that everything in life has a deeper purpose is a cornerstone of Buddhist wisdom, offering profound healing and transformation. When we begin to see life's events, not as random or meaningless occurrences, but as meaningful threads woven into the vast tapestry of existence, we open the door to living more consciously, reducing fear, and releasing suffering. At the heart of this shift is the understanding of dependent origination, pratyasamutpada, which teaches that all phenomena arise in interconnection and are conditioned by causes and effects. Nothing happens in isolation. Every experience, whether joyous or painful, serves a role in the soul's evolution. This insight invites us to pause before reacting, to seek the lesson embedded in each moment, and to embrace life's complexity with curiosity rather than resistance. Living with this consciousness transforms our relationship with fear. Fear often arises from the unknown and the illusion of separation. But when we realize that every challenge is purposeful, a call to grow, to awaken, to deepen compassion, fear loses its grip. Instead, it becomes an invitation to trust the unfolding of life, to lean into uncertainty with courage and openness. This perspective also softens suffering. Suffering is not denied or minimized, but recontextualized. Instead of seeing pain as a cruel fate, we begin to understand it as a powerful teacher that reveals the workings of attachment, desire, and impermanence. Through this lens, suffering becomes a catalyst for awakening, urging us to cultivate wisdom and compassion, both for ourselves and others. Moreover, this shift fosters a sense of agency and hope. Recognizing that our experiences have purpose empowers us to engage actively in our own healing and growth. It encourages mindfulness, the practice of being fully present and attentive, so that we can respond skillfully rather than react impulsively. In this way, we become co-creators of our life's meaning rather than passive victims of circumstance. The Buddhist path offers numerous tools to cultivate this conscious awareness. Meditation, reflection on impermanence, and the practice of loving kindness, metta, help reframe our mindset. As these practices deepen, we begin to see that even the most difficult moments are openings to awaken to our true nature, a nature that is fundamentally free, compassionate, and wise. Changing our perspective to embrace life's deeper purpose is not about achieving perfection or denying reality. It is about embracing reality fully, with all its light and shadow, knowing that every experience supports the soul's journey toward liberation. This awareness nurtures peace amidst chaos, joy amidst sorrow, and resilience amidst uncertainty. Ultimately, living with the conviction that everything has profound meaning cultivates a heart that is awake and spacious. It teaches us to dance with life's rhythms, releasing fear and suffering, and stepping into a way of being that honors the sacredness of each moment and the interconnectedness of all beings. So here's the truth that most don't dare to face. Your life, your struggles, your relationships. They're all part of a grand, soulful design crafted long before you took your first breath. The challenges you think are setbacks? They're actually the stepping stones to your highest growth. The people you meet, your family, your soulmates, even strangers, are far more connected to your journey than you ever imagined. If this video sparked even a flicker of curiosity or insight, imagine what lies ahead as you continue to uncover the full story of your soul's incredible voyage. But don't stop here. This is just the beginning. Dive into the comments below and share your thoughts, questions, or experiences. Your voice matters, and together, we can explore these mysteries even deeper. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss the next episode filled with life-changing knowledge. This channel is your gateway to unlocking truths that empower, heal, and inspire. Thank you for watching all the way through, because the more you understand this sacred journey, the more power you have to live fully, love deeply, and walk your path with fearless wisdom. Stay curious, stay compassionate, and until next time, keep shining your light.